Today we're going to be covering a bit of a heavier topic, illness adjustment, and how we approach that to make meaning in our lives. One thing is inevitable in life. At any given time, any one of us could come down with an illness, chronic disease, or something that becomes present in our life. This is so pervasive in our society in so many ways, and yet we don't openly talk about what it means to adjust to an illness, to be able to thrive and cope with that as it comes. So what happens for most of us when we start to struggle with our health is, of course, we run to some sort of medical professional to get answers about what's happening with that. And what happens is we really attend to the physicality of having an illness, what medications we may need or not need, any lifestyle changes we might need to make. And we really focus as a society on the physicality of that illness. This ends up making us feel like we have some answers, but that there's huge missing pieces within our journey because we're not addressing many of the other things that come with a diagnosis. I can speak to this from personal experience and having being diagnosed with illnesses myself. We really do attend to that medical side of things without attending to the others. So socially, what happens to us when we get a diagnosis is we can feel very isolated. It can feel like nobody understands what's happening for us. And even though our loved ones and people flock around to help us in many ways, it is a really individual and isolating experience for most people that takes much longer than one would expect to feel like you can get back on your feet again. What can happen socially as well is that we want people to know that we're not at our best, but we don't want people to treat us different. And what happens a lot of the time is that when you've been diagnosed with cancer or autoimmune or diabetes or something like that, people start to treat us differently. Lots of clients will tell me there's a sense that people are pitying them. Even though everybody is doing their absolute best to provide support, it can feel like we really want people to know what's happening for us, but not treat us any differently. And at the same time, we're a completely different person than we were before the diagnosis of the illness. So we're going through a psychological identity reconstruction around who we are, how we're going to be in the world, whether it's safe to be in the world. And that brings me to the spiritual aspects of what happens within an illness. It can take an incredible amount of time to come to an understanding of what the meaning of this experience is, what we're going to get out of this experience, what the benefits or post-traumatic growth of this illness may be. And that takes a lot of energetic energy to be able to manage through that. One of the other things that happens with the illness is just mentally the amount of focus and information that we need to hold is incredibly difficult. You may be researching new things. You may be ruminating over different thoughts about whether you're going to be safe, whether it's going to be okay. And you're also hoping for good things for the future. And so often our head is just buzzing with information, which can be incredibly exhausting. So even though you may have sat on the couch most of the day doing not much of anything, you're actually working an incredible amount of mental energy. And so that can leave us exhausted and looking like we're not performing to our best. Which comes back to another point I forgot about socially. Often we can feel like we're disappointing everyone. So even though everybody is feeling very supportive of us, we know we're not working at our 100%. And so that can feel very disappointing for ourselves, like we're letting people down, even though nobody else has given us that impression. And emotionally, you can imagine that this is a roller coaster. So there's often a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of guilt, myself included with many other clients. There has never been anyone I met that has not asked themselves the question, what did I do to deserve this? Did I do something wrong? And so emotionally, that takes an incredible toll on us in terms of adjusting to an illness and making it work for us. Like many other traumas in life, Most illnesses we can learn to adjust to. We can learn to thrive afterwards. So we move out of survival mode and we can get to this place where perhaps we even say that our lives are better than they were before because we've come to some understanding. For myself in my illness diagnosis, I understood afterwards that I really wasn't very good at any kind of self-love, and I beat myself up for a lot of things. So through my illness, what I learned to appreciate is that I had to learn how to love myself. I had to learn to accept who I was, and I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world. But I will also say that that was not an instantaneous realization. That was probably a 1 to 3 year process of going through all of the other things I've talked about to come to this place of healing where we feel like we can be a gift to the world again. I hope this has been helpful in some way. I thank you for spending your time with me. If you'd like to put a comment below, I would be happy to take any requests of any other video topics you may like to see. Thank you and have a great day.